If this kind of psychology content helps you understand yourself more deeply, consider subscribing. This channel is for people who've always felt a little different. If you've always felt different from others, you've probably noticed it early, not in a dramatic way. It's the quiet sense that you didn't quite move through the world the same way everyone else did. You listened more. You noticed things others ignored. You felt out of sync in conversations that seemed easy for everyone else. And at some point, you may have wondered if something was wrong with you. Psychology doesn't see this experience as a flaw. It sees it as a pattern, one that forms for very real reasons. Before explaining why, it's important to say this clearly. Feeling different doesn't mean you're broken. It means your mind developed in response to experiences, environments, and sensitivities that shaped you in a unique way. This difference wasn't random. It wasn't meaningless. Here's how psychology understands it. One of the most common patterns is heightened self-awareness. If you've always felt different, you likely spent a lot of time observing yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your emotional shifts. Psychology shows that people who grow up feeling out of step often turn inward early. When you don't fully mirror those around you, your brain looks for understanding internally. This can make you reflective and thoughtful, but it can also make you overly skeptical. You notice subtleties others miss, tone changes, unspoken tension, small inconsistencies in behavior. This awareness isn't accidental. It's an adaptation that helps you navigate environments where you don't instinctively blend in. Another pattern is emotional depth. You don't just feel things lightly, you feel them fully. Small moments linger, music hits harder, conversations stay with you longer than they seem to for others. Psychology suggests that emotional depth often develops in people who process information more intensely. Your nervous system takes in more data, emotional, social, and sensory. This can feel overwhelming at times, but it also gives you empathy and insight. You understand complexity, you sense contradictions, you can hold more than one truth at once. That depth can make surface-level interactions feel unsatisfying, not because you're detached, but because you're tuned differently. A third pattern is difficulty feeling like you belong. Even in groups where you're welcomed, something may still feel off. You're there, but not fully in it. Psychology explains this as a mismatch between internal experience and external environment. Belonging isn't just about acceptance, it's about resonance. When your way of thinking, feeling, or perceiving doesn't align with the dominant rhythm around you, your brain registers that difference. This doesn't mean you're antisocial. It means you're selective, often unconsciously, about where you truly connect. You're more likely to feel understood in one-on-one conversations than in crowds, more at ease with people who value depth over noise. Another common pattern is early emotional maturity. Many people who feel different learn to regulate themselves early. You may have become independent sooner than others, more responsible, more emotionally contained. Psychology shows that early maturity often forms when a child senses that being observant, adaptable, or self-sufficient is necessary. You didn't choose this consciously. Your nervous system learned it. As an adult, this can look like strength, but it can also come with exhaustion. You're used to holding yourself together, even when you don't need to anymore. The fifth pattern is a strong inner world. When external spaces don't fully fit, internal ones grow richer. You think deeply, you imagine, you reflect. Solitude doesn't scare you the way it scares others. In fact, it often feels restorative. Psychology recognizes that people who feel different often develop strong internal frameworks, values, beliefs, personal meaning. This inner world becomes a place of safety and clarity. But it can also make you feel separate, as if no one else quite lives where you do. Here's the turning point many people miss. Feeling different doesn't mean you were meant to be isolated. It means your mind learned to operate with nuance, sensitivity, and awareness. The shift happens when you stop asking, "Why don't I fit?" and start asking, "What does my way of being make possible?" That question reframes everything. It turns difference into information. It turns isolation into insight. It turns self-doubt into understanding. The resolution isn't about becoming more like others. It's about recognizing that your way of processing the world has value. You don't need to force yourself into spaces that drain you. You don't need to dull your sensitivity to be accepted. Emotional clarity comes when you allow yourself to belong where depth is welcomed, where curiosity is valued, where awareness isn't seen as too much. If you've always felt different from others, it doesn't mean you missed something essential. It means your mind developed along a different path. That path often leads to insight, empathy, and quiet strength. Understanding this doesn't instantly change your life, but it changes how you see yourself. And that shift alone can make everything feel a little lighter. If this resonated, you're not alone in it. Many people live with this quiet sense of difference without ever having language for it. Sometimes, psychology simply gives words to what you've always felt.